Hi, my name is Lauren Galarza, and I'm going to be talking about the documentary Citizenfour. It's about Edward Snowden, who was an employee with the NSA, a sanction of the government, and he had access to certain information that he believed the general American public should have. He actually stole millions of documents and released thousands of them to select journalists for them to reveal it to the public. These documents entailed information about how the government gets information from the general American public and what the government uses the information for, as well as secret government programs like PRISM and Mystic and other clandestine units in the government that collect and use information. This information can entail phone records, emails, search engine history, even who you talk to, text messages, things in the cloud on iPhones, anything basically that has to do with a computer. Some major themes in this documentary circle around democracy and do we as Americans have a democracy, or is this just a facade that we put on and really there's something deeper going on in America where we are not a democracy anymore because we don't know the things that the government is doing and because we can't choose to oppose the things the government does because of either fear or lack of knowledge. Another theme is how do Americans want to define what democracy is? So with these programs that are collecting information from us, how do we want that to fit into how we define democracy in the United States? And does this even define democracy here? Is this what they're doing, democracy? And another theme is the government's reaction to post 9/11 tensions and how that impacts how the government takes, uses, and stores information, especially private information about U.S. citizens. And I think the biggest question here and the biggest theme that the documentary is trying to address is what do we have the right to know, and is what they're doing the benefits outweigh the flaws? Probably not, but that's left to the viewer to decide. What I really liked about the movie was that it was documentary. So oftentimes with movies or films, because movie implies fiction, films that have to do with historical events is that they're fake. They have to do with actors and reenacting scenes and using special effects. And I think the impact would be taken away. The impact of the documentary would be taken away if it was just a retelling with actors where a man was casted as Snowden and a woman was casted as Lauren and a man was casted as Glenn. And instead, it's real life video from when it was happening, what Snowden was asked in that hotel room, and kind of the drama that unfolded with where's he going to go next, what do they want to release, how do they want to release it, who's involved. You get to see it in real time, and I think that's an awesome just thought that Lauren actually thought about filming her interactions with Snowden and with the other reporters and putting them together in one documentary to show the public. Another thing that I liked was just the cinematography in general. I liked the dramatic, white clacking of the keys on the black background and the music and the fade outs and where the scenes cut, and how the interactions with the reporters and Snowden corresponded with the interactions with the news and Obama, and just all how everything came together. It was put together very well. What I didn't like was that the entire documentary tells me how, but not what. So you see Snowden and the reporters talking, and you see the news reacting, and you see the government reacting, and you see all these things. But if you didn't really know already what this was going to be about, it doesn't tell you. So Snowden talks very briefly about like, oh, they can hear us through this, or you can do this, or your password should be like this because they can break into your accounts and whatever. But they don't give you very many details. So you kind of have a general ominous cloud of like they're watching you, like Big Brother's watching, but you don't have those details. He doesn't talk specifically about all of the information that he's giving the reporters. And I think if someone was just watching this to watch it, it would take away from the message that they're trying to get across. Because while you're educated on the course of events, you don't really understand the detail and the information that's being passed from source to source. And you can't fully understand the impact that it had on the government and the media and Snowden's life without understanding really deeply about what the information that he was giving up was. So you know it's government secrets, but you don't know, like, he doesn't talk about Prism, he doesn't talk about Mystic, or this very mildly mentioned. This last part I'm actually really excited to talk about, because what I found interesting is that even though this film won an Oscar, and even though these events were very big at the time, not very many people know about it. So you ask people about, like, who's Snowden, and they kind of have a vague idea, but they don't really know. Like, they can't tell you. And his whole point of releasing this information was so that the public could be educated and so that they could know and they could change or attempt to change what they don't like. But you ask people and they go, I kind of remember what Snowden was about. Like, I don't know, isn't he a fugitive? Like, didn't he release some really important information? But no one really knows what. And I kind of wonder if that's on purpose. And that's kind of how I tie into reflecting on the film and connecting it to kind of what I'm interested in is how much does the government really want this to be talked about? So the film was a hit, it won an Oscar, but like I had never heard of it before this class, even though I knew about Snowden before, and it would have been something that I would have been interested in had I heard about it. Like, it wasn't something that was released in theaters, and the news coverage of the whole Snowden incident was kind of just swept away once kind of the craze passed. I didn't even realize how recent it was. In my head, I thought it was so much farther in the past. I thought it was more years ago than it actually was. So, I'm wondering, is that an on-purpose kind of train of thought? Because, to be honest, this is embarrassing to the government, not only because this top secret information was released, but because one of their own kind of betrayed them and they didn't even know. So that's kind of my reflective piece and something to leave with you is, was this on purpose, or is it just something people don't care about? Food for thought.